This is Sky Blues Extra.
Hello and welcome to Sky Blues Extra Live. Obviously, Coventry City have just played it's live, but no, Coventry City have just played Birmingham City, dubbed the tenants versus the landlords. And I don't think it's going to be one that will be watched back over the years, although Coventry made a really bright start, Dean.
Yeah, for obviously the complete change in formation, I thought we started pretty well. But during the game, it was just dire, wasn't it? Let's be honest, it was pretty dire the whole way through from both teams. Really, you could see there was an international break a couple of weeks, and there's a few maybe what's the word I'm looking for? What is the word I'm looking for?
We'll
come back to that. Professional outfit as ever.
Viewers already. If you know what Dean's word he's looking for, do add it in the comments. But no,
they were lacking game experience. Not even experience. I can't even speak.
No, but it was sharpness, wasn't it?
Yeah, sharpness.
You could tell there'd been some time away from the pitch, and I'm not sure what the training situation is during internationals. How much they actually, I think they probably have some time away, presumably. It certainly looked that way, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was just poor. We were void of any ideas, no creativity, sloppy, giving the ball away. Wasn't much of an attacking threat until we changed the system back to how we play.
But we were quite sharp in the opening exchanges, and we fizzed the balls around a little bit, didn't we? But it was one of those games where I think both teams didn't want to really make a mistake.
No, nobody wanted to lose that match. I think. I mean, even this early in the season, it's still a big thing not to lose matches against the teams that are going to be in and around you. But I don't know. I kind of expected more, really. It's just a very dull game. Dull is the word I'm going to keep saying. Dull all night. It was just poor. Really poor.
That's a shame because I'm really enjoying these Friday night games. It gives you a bit of time at the weekend. I'm sure our viewers are the same. But do make sure you get involved with the comments this evening. We want to hear from as many as you as possible. Starting off, I guess, with who was your man of the match. Sky Sports put it down as Tyler Walker and managed to squeeze in a Des Walker anecdote there, which they seem to do every week.
I done my bingo card.
Yeah, exactly. Drink now.
2 shots for that, Des Walker.
But they always sort of trot that one out, didn't they? And obviously, of course, the landlords and tenants. But yeah, do let us know in the comments, just to decide who you thought was the star man for the Sky Blues tonight. Because, of course, it was a very bit part game, Dean.
Yeah, Walker was head and shoulders the man of the match, pretty much on the pitch. I mean, Djukovic, if he'd scored one of the chances, probably Djukovic would have got it in overall in the match. But Tyler Walker just looked I mean, even though he didn't score, he looked a little bit that class above, really, from what else was being shown on the pitch.
How did you rate him in terms of a lone man compared to Godden?
No, it's not his role. It's not how he plays his football. I think that was a mistake, and especially after how well we've played with 2 guys up front as well. Why change it? I know you've got to try and stifle out attacks, and we need to be more compact in the middle of the park. But we'd found a solution in a way by dropping one of those.
Perhaps was it, wasn't it? And I'm not saying that the commentators got anything right, but they seemed to mention that Robbins perhaps played a sort of tighter formation up till the 60th minute, and then was going to unleash. But
I don't think we needed to do that. Blues haven't got that much of an attacking threat, really. Not as much as what we've seen in previous matches. I think he's got that absolutely wrong tonight. We'd found a solution in those last 2 games. Drop one of those men back and play 2 up front. And Biamu, okay, he hasn't scored the last couple of games, but the work he's put in to give Walker, to give Godden the space for them to play their natural game has been brilliant. And we've seen fruits of that labour by scoring, 5 goals in 3 games or whatever it was?
Yeah.
And we've put players tonight in places that they're going to be ineffective. Like Hammer was on the right. He was on
Yeah,
right side of the
he
pitch.
was sort of out of the game, wasn't he, in large parts because of the fact that he was playing quite wide. Let's bring up some of the comments, Dean, and see what some
Sure,
of
let's
the
look at
viewers are
those.
saying about the formation and perhaps about some of the performances this evening. So this is an interesting one. It's new formation, good for away fixtures when we're up against it. I agree. We looked a lot more solid, but at the same time, again, that lone man, it's a frustrating experience, isn't it, for that lone man to be playing up front on their own.
Yeah, especially against quite big centre halves that Blues had. But that's not Walker's game. Walker's played most of his career with either in tangent with somebody else or with another man up top with him. It's just beggars belief. I don't know why we've reverted back to something that's never going to work. Four at the back for a start. Why? Like, why? I don't understand it. It's just, it's really beggars belief why we've gone completely the opposite way to how we haven't won matches, fine, but we've got to believe in our system, believe in our way of playing, and eventually it will work out, definitely. But I don't understand the reasoning behind it. I was confused when I saw the lineup. I was confused how we played for 60 minutes. And then when we changed it, we looked like we went back to our old selves.
Defensively, though, Dean, we looked pretty solid.
I don't think we did, Dave.
Lukas Djukovic got in a few times behind there, and of course teams are going to get. But what you felt that we actually looked a bit dangerous and weak at times.
Yeah, I thought our right back and left back were too narrow at times during the match. Left so much space on the wings. McFadzean and Hyam were so far apart. McFadzean
Yeah.
and Hyam were so far apart for many of those major chances Birmingham had.
Yeah.
And any sort of attacking threat was pretty much coming through the middle of the park, but they're so far apart. I mean, they're obviously naturally used to now having three there.
Yeah,
especially when we're playing the ball out as well.
Yeah,
it doesn't give. They've lost that extra pass, haven't they?
Yeah,
as well.
And sometimes it looked a bit hurried, didn't it, because of that?
Yeah, definitely. And that's the way we've played, and we've made a mantra of it over the last year, just over a calendar year now of playing that way, and we've just gone away with it because we lost a couple of matches.
Yeah,
that we didn't deserve to lose. I don't understand it.
How did you feel, viewers? Do drop your comments below and how you felt that we were defensively, how you felt that we were attacking. As we mentioned already, who was your sort of star men from this evening? Josh has said here that Biamu needs to start. Combination of McCallum on the right and Giles on the left works best. Play up Sky Blues on to the next. He's absolutely right. I think Dabo still looks, doesn't he, that he's a player that is perhaps a bit of a shadow of his former self at present. Perhaps that's fitness. Perhaps that's still a bit of a injury on his back. Who knows? But he did look a little bit. He just doesn't look as on it, does he? His touch wasn't there this evening. But we saw that glimmer, didn't we, where he burst through and showed us exactly what he can do. And let's hope that he can get back to some full fitness
he's just missing that match sharpness, that fitness. I'm sure Dabo will get back to his what we know Dabo can do eventually. It will take time. But I think for the time being, I think we've chucked him in there tonight. Maybe one game too early.
Yeah, a lot of comments coming in about Dabo. Looked like he was, still missing a bit of fitness. Robbins possibly has said in an interview, I've not heard it, that he's not quite there yet. But the only way to get there is by getting match games, isn't it? And that's it. An interesting one that Danny's put on there in comments that Robbins has said that, of course, Dabo is standing in. That's interesting because actually he's, we've got Giles and McCallum, haven't we? You'd think really there's no need. They're the positions there's no need for anyone to stand in.
Yeah, McCallum's played really well in that right back position as well the last couple of games. I think we mentioned it on the pod. It was quite odd, but we kind of questioned the reason why McCallum was brought back to the club, because at the time we had Mason, we had and Giles there, and Giles was obviously going to be first choice in that left back position because we brought him back. But it's worked out really well, and it's paid dividends on that right hand side, because 2 of the goals over the last couple of weeks have come from McCallum cutting inside.
Yeah,
and using
interesting
that left
one
foot.
there from Reece. Actually, 2 operations in a month and then thrown into a match. Is it like you say? Is it perhaps a game too early? And now with this new 5 substitution rule, of course, there's plenty of opportunity to perhaps bring him on for 5, 10, 15 and build that up.
I suspect he wouldn't have played tonight if Da Costa was available, and Da Costa would have played. And if his thinking was playing 4, then McCallum's a better left back than Giles is a left back in a 4.
Defensively, yeah.
So Dabo has basically been pushed into
solid.
that position because we haven't got anybody else. But
Yeah.
then it's Josh Pask.
Yeah. He seems to be the forgotten man, doesn't he, at the moment?
Yeah, but he's more of a right back than he's a right wing back.
Yeah. Should we bring Glenn in? Because we've got him waiting, haven't we? Let's bring Glenn in and see what he thought about the game. Glenn, good evening. And what did you make of that fixture this evening?
That was probably 90 minutes, the most boring football we've played in a long time, to be fair.
Yeah, we took a bit of time to get going, didn't we?
I just think we lowered ourselves to their level. I don't think they have a good side. They just all their attacks come from balls into the box, hitting the target man, and that was about it. I think anytime we put them under pressure, they looked like they had a mistake in them, and I just think he got the team wrong again tonight.
Yeah, 15 minutes in, we fizzed the ball around. When you looked at the stats, we were 70, 73, 75% in possession and looked fully control of the game. And they actually looked like they were going to struggle to match us for both pace and sharpness. Do you think Robin's got his tactics right tonight, Glenn, with the formation that he started with?
I understand the logic in playing what he did. I just don't think the players were right. I think if you're going to play Walker up top on his own, he has to have people who've got legs around him who are going to get up to him. And Shipley, much as I don't think actually played that bad, I think Giles or Bapaga or someone else in that role, or even Allen, they've got a bit more mobility and a bit more speed and pace to get around him. And I think that was the problem. Walker did actually really well on next to no service. I think
he got in behind the defence quite a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, he looks like he can play the lone striker role on his own. Or obviously, potentially when Godden's back, we can link them 2 up. But he looked quite promising. But I just think Shipley, the game bypassed him. I think Giles would give you that bit of pace up there. And I just think he's reluctant to probably start Giles because he wants him as an option off the bench because Dabo isn't fully fit. And that's just the wrong way of doing it.
I think you're heavily reliant there. When you play that sort of 5 in midfield, you're heavily reliant on 2 of those 5 getting up into that attacking third to help Walker out. And like Glenn said, Shipley hasn't really got the legs to do that. He has to be up there pretty much for the majority of the play for him to be effective in that area. He doesn't really make that that stifling run from back to front. Whereas someone like Allen would probably give you that a bit more. So maybe that was one of the decisions that Robbins needed to make. But Allen looks like out of favour at the moment as well. He's another one who needs to be out of favour.
Yeah, he does. Is there anyone that you think probably next time round, Glenn, won't start because of their performance this evening?
I think probably Shipley. I would be inclined to pull Shipley out and play Giles, but I don't think he'll do that. And I probably wouldn't have started McFadzean, but I suppose if Rose is out, he's got no real choice because I don't think he fancies playing Ostergaard and Hyam as a 2. But I think they might.
I think to me was quite clear that McFadzean would come back in this evening after having such a long break in international. Robbins obviously clearly likes Carl McFadzean, doesn't he? And thinks he's a solid option and controls that back 4. There's only some small moments this evening, but by and large, I felt that McFadzean had a pretty good game, Glenn.
Yeah, I think he played well. I just don't think you play him in a 2 at that level. Like I say, we looked a bit disjointed, and McCallum hangs he had a spell, didn't he, McCallum, last season where he had a little purple patch where he was absolutely superb, and then he got his move, and then he came back and he seemed a bit more defensive, or he wasn't the same attack. Him and Dabo, there was a substantial. You look at him on the pitch, you'd see Dabo 20 yards further up the pitch, and McCallum would be the opposite side, 20 yards behind, and that happened again tonight. And I just think, if you're going to play that system, you've got to have both your fullbacks bombing on. You can't have one going and one not. And then McCallum's like too narrow. He's not hugging the touchline. And that's probably harsh to pick on McCallum because I don't think he had a bad game. I just think it's just a bit more. Giles would be naturally wider and give you that bit more attacking option on it.
I think it'd be very interesting to look at the heat maps of both fullbacks and see exactly where they were positioned during the match, because I don't think they're going to be much further away from the centre halves. To be honest, not going to be anywhere near the side of the pitch, I don't think. Which is a concern really. If you're going to play with four, you've got to stick with that shape, and you've got to be solid. And if we're doing this and people are going forward and people are coming inside, there's so much gaps that you have to fill. So I'm very interested to see where those heat maps where they show up.
Glenn, you've got a picture in your profile there that I think we can all see in our followers. Callum O'Hare, do you think he's doing enough this season for the price tag that he was in the summer?
What, 0?
I mean, let's be honest. I'm sure the wage bill isn't 0. He's up there with one of our highest paid players, if not the highest. Do you think that he's given us as much as we perhaps thought when we first, made that exchange?
I think he works best when Dabo's inside and Dabo's on full form, and I think that's the problem. We've not really got that Dabo on full form and the midfield behind him combination and behind O'Hare, right? Because there was times today
sort of moving up together, isn't it? And that's what
I think we've got. Yeah, there was times where Sheaf got the ball and he beat a man and then had time and space and picked a great pass. And then there was times today where Sheaf would look like a car crash waiting to happen when he was going to get his pocket picked. And that's what and Hamer probably with the system we play didn't probably do as much as he has done playing in the deeper role. So I think he's got 2 from 3 and he's got to make the decision which is the 2 from 3. And I think it'd probably be harsh on Sheaf. I think you're going to probably have to go for Kelly and Hamer, and Sheaf is the fill-in option unless you do something radical and maybe try Hamer right wing back where he played a lot last season for his team in Holland as an option just to get him by till Dabo's fully fit. Because I just worry about Dabo that he's going to... Yeah.
To drop him.
But I thought
Sheaf was I thought he was again brilliant again tonight. To be honest, I thought he's really grown into a ball player. I'd also really worry about putting Hamer at right back because we'd lose that ball playing ability. I mean, the way he spreads the ball around tonight, there was a few wayward passes, but pretty much everything was absolute pinpoint perfect. And he just gives us that. He gives us that sort of, going forward, that zest, I think. And I think if you push him back to right back, one, he's not got the pace of the sort of system that we play, worryingly enough. And I know you're saying about going to a 4, but I think that we probably miss that wing back style that we have with perhaps McCallum and Dabo or Giles, whoever that would be. So, Glenn, we've got some obviously big fixtures coming up in December. Someone's going to have to remind me now, but I think it's Cardiff, is it? Or Norwich?
Cardiff
and then Norwich.
Yeah. From those 2 games, obviously, we'll be hoping to pick up some points because we really need to. But, yeah, what would your predictions be for them, Glenn?
I think I can see us getting a result against Cardiff. I think our home form, aside from Blackburn and the Bournemouth game, I think we've been pretty decent at home in terms of performance-wise.
Yeah, another point tonight.
Another point tonight.
Do you constitute a point as decent, though, against someone like Birmingham? I don't. I think we've messed up.
Could have gone both ways, though, I think. I think
Yeah,
we'd
but
be
that's
happy a
football,
point.
isn't it?
But
It's jeopardy. But at the end of the day, we have a better team than them without a shadow of a doubt, individually for sure. But yeah, I just think I don't. Okay, a point's great and it stops the rot a little bit, but I see that as a missed opportunity tonight, big time.
Glenn, do you feel the same as that? Do you think it's a missed opportunity and that it's a game that we should have won?
I think you've got to be looking to win your home games. I think we're in a 12-team league, aren't we? The teams in the bottom, and our record against the teams in the bottom half-ish at the moment, or the teams that I would expect to be in the bottom half come what may, I think will determine how we do. We've got a result against QPR. We drew at Barnsley. I think when we play those teams, we've not got to get beat, and that will help us. But you're right. Really, in terms of momentum, we could have started, and I just worry that Robbins has got this mentality of 20 points come whatever how many games he said 20 games and 20 points would be acceptable, and I think that's not an attitude I want to have. I want to win every game that we play, be it we go to Norwich next Saturday. I'd rather we have a go than try and nick a 0-0 and lose 1-0 in the 90th minute. So yeah,
I suppose he's gone today with something more solid, hasn't he? He's gone with something more solid, which, in all terms and purposes, has actually worked. I would say that we probably, on chances, we were about level. I mean, Djukovic had a few, but we probably had very little. But out of the chances that were created in the game, we probably had the better of them, I would say. But I'm sure many will disagree. Robbins has got to do something to stop the goals going in. You can't win or lose. You know, every game getting beat 3-2 and 4-3 and bits like that. I suppose is always a worry. It is. Yeah, that's what makes it so bloody exciting, dude. But this is exactly
there was one
it.
Team there was one team that tried to win that game tonight, and that was us. Blues were quite happy for a point, and if they were going to go for the game, if they were going to go for the game, they'd have brought more subs on, a bit more attacking. They were quite happy. They'd lost the last two. They wanted a result, and I think we had the same attitude that a draw. We're quite happy draw, but at least we tried to win the game. I think they didn't try and win the game. They just cruised, and they had one decent chance, which he should have scored. But then you'd argue we should have done better. But yeah, all the best, lads. Hopefully we win on Wednesday.
Play up Sky Blues, Glenn.
Fingers crossed, Glenn. And thanks ever so much, as always, for coming on and some sense, as we say, always spoken there by Glenn, and some really good, valid points. Just want to give a special shout out, Dean, to Maroshi.
Right, so I thought it's to me.
I thought Marco Maroshi was absolutely incredible tonight.
What's with the she's and the zins?
I don't know. It's like he's just like swallowed some sort of dictionary and phrase book.
But yeah, that save was quality. You know, it's pretty much saved the surefire goal from my opinion. But yeah, I mean, again, Marosi the shot stopper, fantastic. Marosi the footballer. Okay, fair enough. But, we pay him to stop goals going in. And tonight he did that. We've talked about, has the system helped us to not concede? Yeah, it has, obviously, because we haven't conceded. But I think against a better team, that system probably doesn't work this evening, in all honesty. Blues had enough chances to win that match as well as us. So, okay, it stopped the rot, but, long term, I don't think it's the way we should go forward.
Yeah, fair enough. And moving on to the Cardiff game, Dean, what do we know about Cardiff? And is that going to be another tricky fixture for the Sky Blues? I mean, they're all tricky.
No doubt about it. They are. Cardiff are a good side. I mean, over the last couple of years, they've been pushing for promotion via the playoffs, and they've got a nucleus, a championship nucleus of talent. Junior Hoylett's still there, isn't he? So he's a good player. I think he's still there. As far as I know, I can't really recall too many players from the Cardiff team, if I'm perfectly honest. But yeah, I mean, it'll be a tough game, no matter. They are a seasoned veteran championship side, and we've struggled against them so far this season. So, it'll be no doubt about it. It'll be a tough fixture. I think is it Tuesday we play or Wednesday?
Tuesday,
So,
I think. Yeah.
Tuesday night, yeah. So we've all hands on deck again, and we're at home. We should be looking for a result. Playing at home, but I mean, does it really matter in these COVID times? Who knows? Without the crowd, that's something I think we're missing out on, really.
Especially away from home.
Yeah, the Sky Blue Army are the 12th man, as we know. We've got incredible support, and sometimes they could probably push us on to another goal or help us not to concede. It's one of those, but it works both ways. Do we go to somewhere where the crowd is raucous and we crumble? So it does work in both ways, but yeah, it's still disappointing, isn't it? Let's get us back in the stadiums, Boris. Come on, Boris.
I know it's just so sad, really, that we're missing out on all of this Championship football. Championships grounds that perhaps myself, yourself, all of the listeners and viewers at home, perhaps grounds they haven't been to. We're looking forward to tick off this season, and they haven't had a chance to do that. Dean, with the 5 sub rule as well, that's an interesting one that has come about. I don't remember anyone jumping up and down screaming pitchforks outside Parliament about the fact of moving it from 3 to 5. But
I saw you outside there, Dave, wasn't it?
That wasn't related to the 5 sub rule.
Sorry, yeah.
But it's, for me, no one was really making any noise about that, and then they've switched it. I don't know why the official rule was. Why did they do that? Is it to do with injuries?
Yeah, it's mostly to injuries, but it helps obviously the bigger teams, and obviously Josh makes a point here about Robbins. I mean, it's something I brought up a few times. I question his substitutions at the best of times.
Yeah, of course. I think that's the one thing that, if anything, most people would question.
Is it going to change? Is it going to change now? He's got 5 subs. No. Because he doesn't make 3 subs. Never mind go up to 5. So I mean, for us, it's probably nicer to have a couple of extra names on the bench that we can choose from.
Yeah,
but
and
we're never going to make 5.
I suppose some of the younger lads being in and around that senior changing room.
Yeah, but we haven't got
bonus.
We haven't got a big Championship squad.
No.
When I say that, I mean we have a big squad, but we don't have Championship quality.
No, but we look at the Watfords, don't we? In the 60th, 70th minute, they're bringing on, what, £10 million perhaps, Troy Deeney. I'm not sure if he'd go for much more than that, perhaps with his age. But
Twix as well. You have Twix in there, you're guaranteed to get him with 10 million.
10 million in the Twix. But, it just goes to show, doesn't it? Forget the price tag, the wage bill. They're bringing on players like that at 75th minute. And I know they've just come down from the Premiership, but it doesn't matter. You're still playing against that team.
It will help the big teams massively. It's. I understand the sort of fitness and injury perspective, but for us, I think it's going to be more of a hindrance than anything. To be honest, the only plus point you get out of it is there's a few maybe players that are on the edge of the squad. The youngsters, for example, might get a push in and a look in at a match day experience, but apart from that, it's not going to do us the world of good, to be honest.
Yeah, some interesting comments on the feed there, Dean, and also from Glenn. It's very interesting to see how low Sheaf is in people's sort of estimations at the time when I think he's actually been really, improved. He's added that ball playing ability that we know he probably always had. He just was probably so defensive that he wasn't showing it. But now, loses the ball in some areas, and he's a younger player. He'll come on for that. But at times, some of the passes, the ball that he played through to Walker this evening was just. For me, Walker fizzed it across the box on his left foot. Probably should have cut onto his right and gone for goal, really. But he fizzed it across the box. But that through ball, that was quality, wasn't it? If Amer did that, I think we'd all be saying what a fantastic. You'd be talking about it for weeks, So
I'd have probably saved it, shared it on Facebook and everything at this point.
Exactly. So why aren't we doing that with Sheaf?
I don't think tonight showed the Ben Sheaf we've seen in the last 2 or 3 matches. If I'm honest, he wasn't at that sort of standard.
But that was across the whole 11, wasn't it?
Of course it was. Yeah, nobody had an outstanding game tonight. nobody had a bad game either. It's just one of those dire matches where the performance of the team was down a bit. But Ben Sheaf, yeah, I mean for all his good stuff, he does have that tendency to throw a little wobbler in there at some point. He got turned a couple of times in the middle of the park, and it sort of created half chances. There was a few more simple passes he could have made, but I think the pros have pretty much outweighed the cons over the last 3 or 4 matches for sure, including tonight.
Yeah, in his defence, I think sometimes some of the balls that we've played, because we're playing at that high tempo and perhaps we are a bit rushed, there's quite a few hospitals thrown around, isn't there? And he seems to be on the receiving end of quite a lot of them because he's in that middle of the park. But he did give the ball away and he did create a chance, and he has done that, countless times this season. And I'm sure Robbins will be on the training ground telling him exactly that he has done that. But the positives are...
the season at Doncaster, who play in a completely different way to how we play. They're so ultra negative and defensive. He probably had less time on the ball, and he's probably overthinking stuff now. He's in the Championship, and he doesn't need to play that way. And it will come with time. It will come with experience. He seems to be one of those players that will get better as the season goes on, for sure. Like most of the players in our team, we haven't got a lot of Championship experience.
We still keep having comments in, but I just think Dabo 3-4 times this evening totally just miscontrolled it.
Yeah,
he's excuse. No excuse.
She's painted a target on his back, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And everyone needs someone to have a go at during the season.
Yeah,
you look at
but I
years
just
gone
think
back, we've had.
You've got to give everyone a chance, and to me, for me, Chief lost the ball a couple of times, but it was actually, for Dabo, that was so uncharacteristic that they were free opportunities going forward where we switched the ball. We finally got space and switched the ball, and it went out for an opposition throw-in. It's just
I'm just looking at the play up Sky Blues hashtag now, and nobody's having a go at Dabo. People having a go at Robbins for putting Dabo in, but no one's having a go at Dabo for the 3 or 4 opportunities he might have given up. But everyone's having a go at Sheaf.
Yeah,
I mean, I just don't get that.
I agree. People. I think a lot of the good work that's come in the last couple of games. Some of the best work that I think the Sky Blues have done has come through Sheaf, and I think that. I'm sure people have opinions and maybe disagree, but I think that by come the end of the season, let's not forget he was the Sky Blues Extra Player of the Month, voted by our followers and fans last couple of weeks ago. So I think I
understand what Danny's saying about here. Dabo has had 2 operations, but that's no excuse for not controlling the football as a professional player at Championship level.
Yeah.
End of story.
And don't get me wrong, we know that Dabo's going to come back fitter, stronger, and he was a catalyst last season for Coventry City getting promoted from League One to the Championship. No one's debating that. He was an absolute catalyst for us getting through and getting promoted, as was a lot of players. Even Zane Westbrook, who obviously had on the pod recently, but. It's one of them, Dean. It's Sheaf will, I think, at the end of the season, prove a lot of people that he's a very good footballer, very able footballer, and there's some naivety that he may well, have to, grow out of, if you like.
But, of course, that will come with experience, though, Dave. We're still talking about a relatively young player here, playing at his first season at Championship level.
Yeah.
He's played some fantastic football over the last 2 or 3 games. Okay, he wasn't at his best tonight that he has shown the last couple of games.
Yeah.
But, I mean, give the lad a day off, man,
Interesting, actually, Dean, and I'll take it to our viewers first, and I'm sure, hopefully, they can all get their comments in, and it would be great to see as many as possible on this. But up to date, with Sheaf in the way that he's played for the Sky Blues, in all of his performances in a Sky Blues shirt and in a Coventry shirt, would you have the option be there at the end of the season? We know is he a player that you would sign as we've got this on the table, haven't we? That we can take him on a permanent. Has he shown you enough so far this season that you would bring him?
If he shows more of the form, the last 2 games that we've lost, 100%, there wouldn't be a doubt in my mind.
Yeah. How old is he, Dean?
what, 23, 22, 23?
I mean, what sort of player is he going to be in 3 or 4 years?
I mean, we don't know. I mean, that's the question mark. You know, he could be like, it's with a lot of youngsters. It's like throwing the dice, isn't it? And see where it lands. You know, you could get the odd 6 where they're absolute world class and go on to have an amazing career. You get the odd 1, the George Thomas, for example. You know, the Tom Bayliss. You know, not getting a game. You know, I'd rather have Ben Sheaf than Tom Bayliss, without a shadow of a doubt, in my mind.
Let's just have a show of the comments because loads have come in, Dean, and it's you might have to scroll back up a little bit. But starting from, I think PT Tasker has said definitely.
Oh yeah.
And then below that, Ian has said he showed more than enough promise. An age correction there from Faz.
Cheers,
TUSB.
Faz.
Ian says Sheaf is good. This is a fair point. Evolution of the team has come a little bit too soon. It's a very young side, and Kelly quality is more important. But they fitted quite well tonight, didn't they? Together.
I do think so. Listen, for me, Liam Kelly gets into the team as the first man in the team sheet every single week. I think he just gives the whole team a boost. But it's a really good point that Ian James.
I thought he was really good tonight, Kelly.
Oh, Liam Kelly, outstanding. He just brings the team together. You know. He's not going to do the absolute spectacular.
I forgot he could play football like that as well. He didn't look out of sync at all, did he? For saying he's been away from it, and he looked absolutely solid, didn't he?
Liam Kelly is not going to completely win you a match on his own, but what he does for the rest of the team can win you football matches without a doubt. And this point Ian makes, I just want to make it myself. The evolution of the team has come too soon. I'll say now, I think we are a season too early in the Championship. I don't think Robin's probably expected to get promoted last year.
Do you not?
No, I don't. I think
we've heard so much, though, haven't we? We've had we've been lucky enough to have a lot of players on the SkyBluesExtra podcast, and a lot of them have said that playoffs was the aim. And and that was made very clear from Mark Robbins when they came in from day
it's
one.
Still a lottery at that point, right?
Yeah. You're saying it, but are you believing it? Yeah.
I think he got really not lucky because obviously he planned for the team to gel and for the team to squad and for the squad to bond, and it's worked out amazingly well, obviously. And great, we're in the Championship, and let's deal with the situation we're in.
Of course.
We're in a better position now than we would be in League One in a COVID season, for example. Yeah. So let's enjoy it and let's go.
Especially
ahead.
Financially, we've been on Sky TV, haven't we? Countless a number of times.
Yeah, I mean, we're the new Leeds United, Sky Sports Coventry. I think they're probably going to name their 9th channel after us.
Yeah.
Just reruns of the playoff and the Checker Trade finals.
It just comes on the one after Sky F1.
Yeah. When the F1 season finishes, in November or end of December now in Abu Dhabi, it will turn into the Sky Sports Coventry channel.
Absolute knowledge. I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I do think we're slightly ahead of where we've probably planned to be. But that's the situation we're in. So let's
and that's why the squad is where it is, right? No one's denying that. We said it a number of times. Players have been in League Two. Yeah. And they've grown with the club.
Absolutely.
But just because they've grown with the club each season, yes, they've improved, but it doesn't that jump up from League One to the Championship's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, massive, and we're finding that out quickly. Some of the matches we've been very lackluster in the creative department, and in the essence of you make a mistake and you're punished dramatically sometimes. So we're still finding our feet, but we have to do it quickly now, and quicker than we had. We're 10 games, 11, 12 games into the season now. Time is quickly running out now, so we need to sort of find some form and find our feet. But you say there are players in teams that move with the team. You look at the likes of Bournemouth when they went on that massive run. They had a few players like Francis and stuff. They went with the team all the way from bottom to top. So it can be done, and it shows it can be done. And there's always 2 or 3 players that go with the team in their evolution. Yeah. So it's about building around that sort of nucleus.
Yeah.
And I think we're starting to find a little bit of that now, But what doesn't help is then when Robbins chucks an absolute curveball into the mix and plays Hammer on the right hand side. That's not his place. It's not his position. It's not where he's shown over the start of this season where he's going to play the best football for this football club. So, those little intricacies, but I'm sure they'll be ironed out during the course of the season. So let's just see where we go.
Once Godden comes back into the fold, Dean, with Walker, who has displayed, let's be honest, some really good performances, I think, especially tonight having to play like the Godden lone role. Fantastic finish against Watford, and one that probably should have at least secured a point, if not 3. What would you say Robbins will do once Godden comes back? Would he go back to that one up front, and then is it Godden's to get the position back, or is it going to go?
I didn't think he was going to switch from the two up top tonight, to be honest. So who knows what he's going to do? He might play Walker at left back. He might throw an absolute curveball into the mixer. But yeah, I mean, I personally would like to see them both play up there together and revert back to how we played the last couple of matches. That formation with one of those front 3 dropping back into a midfield 3. I'd like to see that more, and I'd love to see how Walker and Godden play together because they're both workhorses. They're going to tire out defenders massively.
Do you want to answer this question from Jack?
Yeah, the one at the bottom. Do you think the reason why we're doing so poor? Yeah, there is the distinct lack of pace for sure. Walker gives us some of that pace. I think what we miss pace-wise is from the midfield to attack. We haven't got anybody with a real burst of speed. O'Hare doesn't have that sort of 10-yard burst that he can get away from a defender. He normally, the only way he gets away from a defender is using his craft and creativity. So he has the creativity. But yeah, I mean, it's a sticking point. I think there is a lack of pace in the team. Gibello. What about Gibello? He's got a bit of pace about him. Castanea.
Yeah.
Castanea.
I'm sorry, but I'm overly confused. I'm awfully confused. I really am. Because we're talking about a poor start, which I don't really believe it has been. Okay, there's been poor performances, don't get me wrong, but I don't think we've been poor in every single game we've played. The lack of pace, we seem to be talking about attacking, but let's be honest, the letdown this season has been defensively, really, and it's not been defensively as a collective.
It's not been due to pace, those defensive mistakes.
But it's been defensively the fact, we scored 2 goals against a team that have just come down from the Premiership, and in parts of that game looked really solid once we'd got our act together a little bit. So I don't know. I'm not sure I agree with. I think defensively we've been naive. We've given away penalties. We've had red cards. We've been down to 10 men on too many occasions. We've been naive at the back. But we're talking here about, do you think we've been so poor because of the lack of pace and creativity?
I don't think Jack is referring to a defensive lack of pace and creativity. Like, obviously you don't need
exactly that though. But we have scored goals, Dean, haven't we?
Yeah. Listen, I don't think we've been a bad side. A few individual errors have cost us, and the likes of zonal marking. Those are little things that either go for or against you in a 46 game season. I think we do look a little bit poor going forward at times. We're not going with the same fluidity as we did last season, but that's because we're coming up against much more better prepared teams, more technically savvy. So maybe that's where we're showing our what's the word I'm looking for here, our flaws as such, going forward a little bit. But like you say, we scored 4 goals in those 2 matches. Was it 4 goals we scored in the two matches? We had 2 up front.
That was a hard watch.
So many matches.
Had a few beers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we've scored a decent chunk of goals the last couple of games where we had 2 up front. But the goals against is what's counting us. It's defensively where we've got the issues, and it's down to individual errors and zonal marking. For me, that's where our downfall is at the moment.
And that's
until
all
we
it
sort
was.
those,
That's all,
until we
the only
sort those
point I
out.
wanted to make is that there can be a lot of pressure putting on attackers that we're not creating enough chances, we're not scoring enough goals. Tonight we didn't. That's
No.
that's clear. We didn't against a team like Birmingham, who they were there for the taking, and in points we looked like we would get in behind. Walker looked really, really dangerous at times, playing off that shoulder. And unfortunately, it couldn't tell, and we didn't create enough chances this evening. But in games, totally, we've. It's a tough one, isn't it? Because we've never created as many chances as the opposing team, mostly, have we? We've looked at those stats week in, week out, and we've not had as many shots on target. But you look at games like Barnsley. Again, I don't think we're out of that at all. I think we more than matched them. Probably would.
You look back at that game now, and that's 2 points lost, isn't it? Really?
Probably, yeah. And then you look at Middlesbrough. Definitely points dropped because we matched them for majority of that game. That was a game that I think they only had a couple of chances on goal, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was one up front, and we would.
Blackburn's a write-off.
Yeah, we wouldn't talk about that game ever again, hopefully. But yeah, we haven't been out of any game other than 2 or 3 maybe. I wouldn't say so, but tonight wasn't the opportunity to try and mix it up and go with 4 at the back against a team that has a lack of threat. Really, they haven't shown a lot in their previous matches. Birmingham. I've watched quite a few of their matches so far this season. Most of their goals have come from individual errors of the opposing team, so they weren't going to offer too much up the top end. But
not talk about Marcel Hilsner, Dean. About is he going to feature? Is he not? He was perhaps a purchase that wasn't as expensive as Amer, but Amer was obviously a lot. We an unknown, really, a bit of an unknown quantity. But let's be frank, an extremely superb piece of scouting by Coventry City. Some of them pay off. We're yet to see if the Marcel Hilsner one will pay off because we just don't know, do we?
He is the great unknown. I mean, we don't know anything about this guy. We've seen him in a couple of pre-season friendlies, which you can't really judge a player on because both teams got a lack of fitness and you don't really play with any sort of style of play in those matches. So it's hard to judge a player and how you're going to play in a system that we're going to go forward with. But until he gets into the mix, then how can we make a judgment on this guy? But the problem we have is that we're seeing week in, week out, he's not in the squad.
Yeah. It's going to be very tough, though, for him to get in.
We've got 7 players now. Put him in a match day squad. He's an option, surely. He's playing in the 23 matches. He seems to be playing those week in, week out. So why isn't he in a match day squad? It's beggars belief. Obviously, Robbins has got some admiration of him because otherwise they wouldn't have signed him.
Yeah,
he works so hard with Chris Badland, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Officer.
Yeah, who's done a fantastic job. I think we need to highlight the fantastic job that the club and Chris has done in recruitment this season. I'm not sure it'd be interesting what our viewers think because I think majority of the business that we've done has proven to be extremely good. Amer, Walker, keeping Giles,
Chief.
McCallum.
Ostergaard.
I think Ostergaard.
I'm
running out of fingers, Dean.
I think Ostergaard has been good this season. He's not going to play in it. It looks like he's not going to play in a 2 though. Really, I don't. What might work with Ostergaard is Ostergaard and Rose, but you're not going to drop Hyam because Hyam is brilliant. He's probably been up for me, probably player of the season so far. If you look at the whole season,
Cross, okay.
So I think Ostergaard's been a bit unlucky, but I think he's been one of the shining lights so far this season.
There's a lot to like about Ostergaard defensively. obviously in the final third in from corners. For me, he's a little bit wasteful with the ball at times from the back position, plays balls and we seem to get caught and cut out. But at the same time, I think that's probably across the side. Even McCallum played a bit of an uncharacteristically pass across this evening. But yeah, I think it all looks good. I think we've more than matched teams, and this December period is going to be one where hopefully we'll turn around at the end of it, and the comments that we'll have on Sky Blues Extra Live and the comments that we'll be sharing on here and on the podcast will be a lot more positive perhaps than what they've been for the start of the season.
Listen, I'm ever the optimist, without a doubt. And I don't feel like we've shown ourselves up so far this season. Okay, the results haven't really gone in our favour, especially in a couple of matches where it could have been a lot better, and it probably should have been a lot better, even if it was just a point. But, it will change at some point during the season, without a doubt. We'll go on some kind of run, and it's about how we time those runs as well. So if we can do it now in December against all the teams that we're going to come up against, who are going to be in and around us in the table without a shadow of a doubt, they're the ones that are going to matter. Can we inflict some damage onto those at this point of the season now when we're turning into the new year where, it's all hands on deck and it's points make prizes for sure. Listen, we should probably put Tom's comment up before we get lynched. He doesn't see where Hilsner fits into the system.
I think the only thing I can see him is the perhaps behind the front man.
I think he's going to playing that free. That's the only way.
The only way I can see. When he played against Rangers, albeit a pre-season, he didn't look like a right winger, which is where he kind of played. He looked a little bit, to me, positionally lost and not really comfortable in that position. So, he doesn't look defensively that minded. So I think really he feels to me, and it's not just because of the left foot, a bit like a Shipley, where he would, play behind that, balls would drop off, and he'd have a crack from 25, 30 yards, which we know, and we've heard about this wondrous left foot, this powerful Trojan of a strike that he's got.
Absolute thunder bastard into the top left-hand corner. That's what we need.
So, Hitzberger-esque. But that feels to me the only place that he can... easy for you to say. But the only place that he could probably play is just behind that front.
But there's a few of those, right? Because we don't play with wingers. So Jabello and Castanea, there's two of them gone. So we've got a lot of chess pieces, but we've got a smaller chessboard as such. How do we fit them into our style of play? People like him might not get the opportunity to do that in the system that Robbins plays.
No, exactly. Well, Dean, it's been another eventful evening for the Sky Blues, who perhaps should have picked up some, 3 points, but a draw, important point, and we move on from this to a tough game against Cardiff, and then onwards to recently relegated Norwich, who are going to be a really tricky. But we move also into a December period, of course, which looks favourably in terms of fixtures, and hopefully towards the end of Christmas and beyond, where football fans are going to be in, according to the Mail Online, if you believe those. We're only going to have 5 days at Christmas traded for 25 days of lockdown. But of course, we're still going to be able to go and watch the football in grounds. I'm not sure that's perhaps going to happen. What's your thoughts on that, Dean, before we go this evening, on football fans back in grounds in December? Do you think it's feasible, and do you think it's doable, and how would that work?
Yeah, we had this conversation at work today. We were talking just about the lockdown in general, and I was talking about the football situation, which, listen, from the government's perspective, I don't want to get all too political. From the government's perspective at the moment, if everyone's going through a lockdown period, they just can't. They can't allow football fans to go in. Fine. But they had the opportunity before the lockdown, this new lockdown period came in, to get people in. Now they're saying the problem is everyone's going to arrive at the same time. but just have staggered arrival times. And if you're not there at that arrival time, you're not coming in. It's as simple as that. And if you kick up a fuss, just lock them up. Simple as that. Get them out of there. So it's feasible without a doubt. And this excuse where people are all going to be like coming to the ground at the same time.
It's simple, isn't
There's
it?
so many ways around that. You look at
So
the tubes, Dave. We go on the tube, every day or every week or whatever. It's absolutely rammed at times.
Yeah.
Absolutely rammed.
Be interesting with the viewers. If the possibility was to go back to football, knowing how much we all love it, if they did staggered times, even from, I don't know, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was 50
minutes. Absolutely rat-ass by the time kickoff starts.
Well, no, because there's not going to be any drink sold in the grounds, is there, I expect? You wouldn't have thought so. I don't know. But if it was staggered arrival times from, say, 12 o'clock midday, with times of 15 minutes for you to get in, and they did it row by row, so it filled up, and you had to stay in your seat. Perhaps you couldn't do anything at half time. Obviously, you need to go to the loo at some point. But if they did that, it would be pretty much socially distanced. Would our viewers and would you be willing to wait around from 12 o'clock till 3 o'clock, rather than diving in at the last minute out of the pub to be able to watch a game of football live?
Listen, we're diehards. The diehards will do it, right? So you've got to give the option open. You've got to have that option available to people. So I think they're making excuses at the moment.
Where's my pitchfork?
There's a lot, exactly. I think we need to be pitchforking about a lot of other things. I was just about to say there's a lot of problems at the moment. For me, listen, there's a lot of issues, and I think football is at the bottom of the list currently. So, without getting too political, yes, there are ways that it can be done. Clubs have already agreed to doing stuff and putting regulations in place. I mean, I think Reading spent something like $2,000 on a system to do it, and it's just been chucked in the bin basically because Bojo doesn't want to do it. So listen, they've got to get it. There's other sort of cogs that need to be done, like track and trace and stuff, and that system is an absolute joke. So, without that, can they do it? It's an absolute clusterfuck, isn't it, really?
It is, yeah.
No, we don't have to make that decision.
No, we don't. And we know there's much
the thing
more
is,
things.
they can do it, and they need to do it mainly for mental health purposes as well, going forward, because I know a lot of people are struggling, and the football is a form of release without a doubt. So,
yeah, exactly.
It's something needs to be done.
A sentiment that we all probably agree with, and if we were to go back, Mark's made a really good point that if it does happen, then as long as we can all have a few jars first, we'd enjoy the game. But it's a happy days. If we can get in from 12 o'clock, 15-minute slots, book me in. Sign me up.
And then come and do an interview with us after the game.
Exactly.
For the only place to get your real Sky Blues news at SkyBluesExtra.
Dean, it's been another interesting evening on SkyBluesExtra Live. We appreciate all of the comments, obviously, that we get from the viewers. Make sure that you do listen out for our upcoming podcast, because we've got some absolutely fantastic guests. And when I say that, there's some real belters coming up. So some great guests to help you guys through lockdown whilst we're in this period. But let's hope that we can get into grounds at some point soon. And like you always say, Dean, it leaves us just to say,
play up Sky Blues.